I would say that for most places in the world and most of human history, we have been living in a religious world, a religious universe. Our sort of cosmos has been defined by religious festivals, by the community. So, religion in the wider sense of the word. And I think it's only recently with the Enlightenment, which is, relatively recent in terms of human history, have we cast off religion and seen religion as being superstitious and being unnecessary, and being religious authority figures as being, charlatans. And we've emphasized our own reason and human progress, and that's obviously completely changed the world, but it's a relatively recent idea. So I think before then, in some ways, all stories were religious stories, just like you could argue that all art was religious art before the rise of kind of, the idea of secular art and, painting for your own artistic inspiration or something. Before that, you painted to show religious ideas, and you told stories to have religious ideas. And one of the effects of the Enlightenment is that it made religion much more private. Religion was fine as long as, it just affected you. You could believe whatever you wanted to believe, but you couldn't really force anyone else to believe anything else. And so what bound people together wasn't so much religious values, but were, secular stories, popular culture, film, and television. I think another effect of secularization was the discrediting of religion as a kind of true narrative. People instead said, we don't need religion, we have science now. Science can explain things for us, and that's true, it does. I mean, especially since the late 19th and going through the 20th century, just all the revolutions in geography, in astronomy, in biology, in physics and chemistry, all of those have completely changed how we understand the world to work. What laws does it operate under? And I think religion has reacted to that with the growth of something that's been called fundamentalism, even though fundamentalists themselves say that they go back to the very earliest, forms of religion. In fact, it's a pretty recent invention. The word fundamentalism wasn't even coined until 1915, when some evangelical Christians published a series of brochures which they called the Fundamentals of Christianity, and they distributed it to churches all over North America in an effort to say, this is what we believe, and that's where the word fundamentalism came to. And later it was applied to, now we talk about fundamentalist Islam, we sometimes talk about fundamentalist Hindus or fundamentalist Jews, people who really believe that their sacred text is the sole authoritative text there is. But that's a relatively modern idea, and I see it as a reaction against the scientific worldview. In a way, science tells a story where scientific evidence is proof. Scientific evidence is factually true and irrefutable. And fundamentalists came back and said, no, our Bible is factually true and irrefutable. That's the real truth. But you can't really have that idea unless you have science first.